Welcome, everyone. On today's Do Now, you were explaining the difference between Democrats and Republicans. We haven't talked about them much. You should know those names, Democrats and Republicans. Maybe you know a few people who are involved with both Democrats and Republicans. But what makes them different? What are their different views? Why are they different? Today, we're going to be talking about these. We're called political parties. We're going to try to understand what they do, what's our role, right, when it comes to political parties, and what's the point. So we'll start with just how we look at political views, like how people have opinions. We generally put people into two categories. There's liberal and there's conservative. When it comes to your views on government, you're in one of these two categories. It's a very simplified way of explaining it. Sometimes this is called left versus right. Liberals are left, conservatives are right. That just goes back to a long time ago. It's still today, but like where people sit in Congress, liberals tend to sit on the left, Republicans sit on the right. It's just phrases we talk about. If someone's left wing or left, leaning, that means they're liberal. If they're right wing, that means they're more conservative. You could also talk about progressive versus traditional. If you are a liberal when it comes to your political views, you tend to be more progressive. You're open to more change, more different ideas, doing things differently, where conservatives tend to be traditional. They want to keep things the same way, stick to the past. Right? So liberals tend to look to a future for inspiration. Conservatives tend to look to the past for inspiration for how to run a government. Liberals also tend to be in favor of big government. Conservatives tend to be in favor of small government. What that means is liberals want the government, they see the government as the solution to problems. So creating more government agencies, more laws, more government involvement will solve our problems. Republicans see more government involvement as a bad thing, that the government being involved will make it harder. All right, so these are the simple ways of doing it. If you're someone who wants to create a lot of change with the government, you're more liberal. If you want to keep things kind of the same and limit government power, you tend to be conservative. That's just a way of thinking. A way of looking at it would be something like this. All right, so you could be in any of these four categories. You could be extremely way over here. You could be more towards the middle. If you like government control, you're totalitarian. If you don't want any government at all, you're anarchist. So obviously, if you're an extreme way out here, you got some pretty crazy views. But people here versus here and here, right? You have different ideas on what makes what. Now, what do political parties have to do with this? Well, political parties are sort of like official groups of people that all sort of have similar ideas. Right? People who are mostly conservative, they tend to group together. Liberals tend to group together. Parties are official groups of people. They work together. Their goal is to win elections and to get laws passed. Right? That's what they're trying to do. That's their goal. That's why they exist. They work together. They create these teams. Right? These political parties are essentially teams. And to win the game is to win elections and get the laws they want passed. These are not required. Our democracy could function without them. Where no one was part of any party, you'd vote for people who you think are the best. People would work on laws with whoever they thought would work with them. It doesn't have to have parties. In fact, a lot of the people who created the Constitution did not want political parties. They thought it would create a system where you'd have like us versus them, divide the country, and they weren't completely wrong. And there's no requirement that there's only two. There could be lots of parties. We have two major ones. We have lots of parties, but only two major ones win. That's because of a system called the winner take all. Right. So if you vote, one person's going to win it. There's no value in coming in second or third place. So if you say you mostly agree with Biden, you don't really like him, but you mostly agree with him. You don't think he should be president, but you really don't like Trump. Are you going to vote for someone else? Right? If you vote for someone else, Biden loses a vote and Trump gets closer to winning, right? So if you vote outside of these two parties, the person you like the least is more likely to win, right? So it's almost like pick the lesser of two evils. Like, of these two, which would you rather? So and kind of limits a lot of what we can do, but that's the system we have. Now, you can get some really extreme views, right? If we talk about historical politics, you have communists and Nazis being very extreme, extreme hippies and bomb shelter guys, like those, just like extreme views where they want absolutely no government at all, or they want complete government control. Most politicians are somewhere in the middle, right? As a country, historically, we're a little bit more liberal and a little less government control. Um, but you can have different politicians throughout this. Where do you think Trump fits? Trump is a little bit more extreme for an American politician. He's a little bit more out there. Where do you think Biden is? Biden's extreme for Americans, but he's not like out of the realm of possibility. He's been moving a little bit more left and a little bit more up since he's become president. In fact, Trump's kind of moved in a little bit more reasonable since he's been out of office. But when we're talking about this, if we're talking about most Americans are in this circle, these two guys have sort of very extreme views. They're very different views on how to run things. Here's a graphic talking about some of the different views between left and right. Remember, right is Republican, left is Democrat. Some of the different views about, different things from death penalty to abortion to family to school to taxes, right? They all have different views and opinions. Here's a simpler way of looking at it. Most Democrats tend to be pro-choice. Republicans tend to be pro-life. Democrats are in favor of gun control. Republicans are in favor of gun rights. Democrats want easier openings to border and immigration. Republicans want more control. Democrats want more government involvement in the economy, so more taxes and government programs. Republicans want less taxes, less government protections. Democrats want to protect the environment. Republicans want to use it. So this is a simple, quick, here's what they think. We're going to watch a video to kind of talk about these two different political parties, and then you're going to get a chance to research them and find out what they think about different issues, but also think about what resources you're using. Today we're doing part one. Tomorrow we'll do part two when it comes to these political parties.